Hello. I promised everybody an update on my testimony. There's been a lot of things happen with me. Uh, so I just want to update everybody to tell everybody. First off, I've got this shirt on that says, Make Health Simple. Make Health Simple by Living Good. This shirt goes all the way back to Crew 2, where I was chosen the winner by my peers there. There was a lot of people that made a lot of achievements in that crew, and it was an honor. It's always been an honor. And there was a lady that was in the crew. Her name was Christine, who decided to gift the first 3 or 4 of us these shirts. She made t-shirts, so I told her what to put on it, and she made it. Yeah, I've not wore it much. I've wore it on one cruise, and then for another video or two I've put it on. But basically it's something that means a lot to me. It's a keepsake, because what I've learned in living good in the cruise and stuff extended my life, whether I was to die today or not. I've got from 2018, sometime in 2018, first crew was in 2019, but somewhere from that date until 24, that I would have walked without a walker, without a cane. I've done the things that I wanted to do. I've been on 2 cruises, got a 3rd cruise coming up this Christmas. I would have been on 4 or 5 of them if COVID hadn't gotten away. But it got to where the first 2 years after COVID, you couldn't even cruise. So we got a vacation to Branson, Missouri coming up next month. Got a cruise coming up in December. Got another vacation coming up a little later this summer. So I've lived life and I've enjoyed it. And it was because of the things that I've learned here. It's because of what Dr. Living Good has taught me. It's because of everything that I've learned in the cruise and in the online seminar that I'd done with him before the cruise started. So for the update now. After COVID, 21, I had a flare-up of something. I don't know what it was. I couldn't get to the doctors because the doctors around here, you couldn't, no elective procedures or anything. But I just passed out, got up, passed out, hit the floor. And I truly believe that I died that night, or I was dying, until I called out to Jesus. I remember seeing it was night. I stood up to go to the restroom. I got dizzy. And I remember falling. I remember a big bang. Then the next thing I remember was seeing darkness with my normal vision, but at the same time, starting on my right side, I saw this bright light start coming across my vision just like it. And all I could see was the light. And I remember hollering or thinking or whatever it was, because I don't, but I remember hollering, Jesus help. And to let you know, I am a man of faith. I believe in divine healing. I believe in our Savior. Everything I do in my life is pushed that way toward my belief in Him. So when I hollered or called out or thought, Jesus help, I begin to see the light go back across and my normal vision return. And I thought that the house had blew up because for some reason there was stuff on top of me. And then I began to realize as I come to that I was under the table, the kitchen table, and to go to our restroom, you have to walk through the dining room and down a hall. In the hall, the table is right at the end of the hall. Undoubtedly, I remember thinking, I got to sit down, and I pulled a chair out from under the table and was going to sit down. So undoubtedly, I passed out, or whatever happened. And I ended up the table caddy cornered in the dining room. I ended up under the table, chair on top of me. I managed to crawl out from under it. I couldn't stand up. Then I noticed that I had soiled myself both ways. And I pulled up and sat up against the wall and sat there about 20 or 30 minutes. And then I got up, went to the restroom, cleaned myself up a little bit, and went back and woke my wife up. Well, she sleeps under medicated sleep, so she never realized what I was talking about. In the living room, sitting down in the recliner, and the next day I was getting better, but I didn't totally recover. So I began a detox, living good detox. I began to, because I'd gotten off of the thing a little bit during 20, because it got to where we couldn't get products or anything we needed here. You'd go into our grocery store, it looked like you were in a third world country that the shelves wasn't even stocked, or that they'd built a new grocery store and the shelves was in there and nothing was on them. I mean, nothing was on them. So it was hard to get the ingredients. So I went back and I started eating right, and I began to regain my health. Then in 22, I had a lap band put in me 12 years or so before that. We were going to take it out in 20. We couldn't because of COVID. I went back I went back in 20 in February before all of it started, and they checked it and they found it perforated in my stomach with a band. 22 in May, the band slipped, cut into my stomach. I had sepsis. I had to go back. They done surgery, removed the band, done a bunch of grafts, and repaired the holes in my stomach from the band. 6 weeks later, back to the hospital with sepsis again. This time, the gallbladder infected. Fact is, the surgeon said it was on the verge of gangrene. So the gallbladder removed, I'm coming back. That was 2 surgeries within 6 weeks. Thought I never was going to recover from that. But I did. I went back and followed the good, living good stuff again. I come out of it drug-free. Now, was it easy to come out of it drug-free? No. And this is what I've got to tell you that's going to be one of the updates. Down here, during 20, hospitals had a hard time making it. So they began to consolidate and change things. Well, the University of Texas took over one of the major hospitals and changed the name from East Texas Medical Center to the University of Texas Health Center. The other one was a Catholic hospital. It was Christus, or it was Trinity Mother Frances. Later, during that time, Christus Health Systems in Shreveport, Louisiana, took over part of the interest in it, and it became Christus Mother Frances, or Christus Trinity. When I had the lap band put in 2010, Dr. Babineau put it in. He had rats to do surgeries in either hospital. I'd always been a Mother Frances patient, even in their clinics, so he done it in Mother Frances. His 22, they had changed everything. Well, they forced him either to get out of his office because his office was owned by the University of Texas. They either made him become a University of Texas doctor or get out of his building. So he chose to become a University of Texas doctor. Well, he could not do surgery in Trinity Mother Frances. So while I was over at Christus or Mother Frances, I was in there about 3 or 4 days until they could transfer me to the other one. Over there, they have one of the top-notch heart hospitals in Texas, top rated. I was put in there because they needed a room. They monitored my heart. They done all this blood sugar monitoring, everything. Everything was all right with my heart. Then they transferred me over to the other hospital, the University of Texas. And you thought I'd went in a different world because from then, and we're talking about in 22, you could not go in that hospital without a mask. They started pushing COVID vaccine, all the vaccines and stuff. And I said, I am not taking that COVID vaccine. Forget it. I'm not taking any of the vaccines right now. Forget it. So I had to force my thoughts there. Then that's a training hospital where they train new doctors. So one morning, in comes this doctor I never saw, and he said, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm a doctor of internal medicine. It's my job to make sure you take your medicine right. So I said, okay, doctor, but I'm not on any medicine. He said, yeah, you are. I'm looking at your chart here. And he started naming off all these medicines that I'd been on years before. And I said, no, I'm not on them. He said, yes, when you own them, when you put on them, you never get off of them. I said, you got an old record. You need to look to get my new chart. I said, they have removed every bit of that out of my chart, out of my record. He said, I know, I got the other one here. But when you get put on this stuff, you don't ever get off it. I'll fix to put you back on it. And I thought, how arrogant can this guy be? So I sit there a minute and he began to tell me what he was going to do. And all of a sudden I remember hollering at him. I said, shut up. Shut up. Now you got to listen to me. We're going to get something straight. I said, I'm in control of my health care, not you. And I'm off of that medicine. My doctors took me off of that medicine. You're not putting me back on it. There's the door. Leave or shut up. Well, he left. I never saw that doctor again. But I had to force my preferences on them about the medicine. I had to fight them almost every day about the COVID vaccine. If they give it to me, I didn't know it. As far as I know, I didn't get it. Now, 24. I get sick one day. Well, actually in 23, I got sick in about September. I started getting a lot of chest congestion, a lot of throat, nasal congestion, a lot of coughing, never run any fever, never had real headaches or nothing, never really felt bad other than that. And I just cough and cough. Man, I started to go, and I mean, it would be deep coughs, dry coughs. Went to the doctor. They couldn't, I didn't go to my regular doctor because it was going to be a week or two before I could get in. So I went to one of the urgent care clinics. They tested me for everything they could test me for. Nasal swabs, throat swabs, blood work, you name it. Couldn't find it. All they could tell me is it was viral. I said, it's viral. That's all we can tell you. We don't know what it is. I went there from that time, from September of 23 until March. We're in April, till April. 2 weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. I went to the doctor about 6 times, and they could not tell me what it was. I got up one night in the night to go to the bathroom again, and I was coughing a lot, and I thought, well, I'm not going to wake my wife up. So I sat down in my recliner in the living room, and there was a blanket there. I covered up. Well, and this was on a Sunday morning. About 6 o'clock Sunday morning. No, it wasn't in the morning. I'm sorry. Because I got up and got ready and went to church that Sunday morning. We come home that afternoon, and after we'd eat, we went to eat out somewhere. And I sat down in the recliner and went to sleep, and I woke up. Been asleep about an hour. I was fighting for breath. I could not breathe. I thought I was dying. I thought I was gonna suffocate. I told my wife, I said, I'm scared. It's time we go to the hospital. So we go to the emergency room at Christus. They get me in the emergency room there. They start checking me out. Next thing I know, I've got EKGs, I've got all kinds. I've got echograms being done. They put me in a room in the emergency room, and next thing I know, they come get me and they said, we're admitting you. I said, admitting me? Yeah, you're going to be on the in room 404 in the heart hospital, in the Peaches Lewis, in the heart hospital. I said, why? I said, because you're in heart failure. Okay, so then they tell me, first thing they start doing is trying to hang labels on me and say I was in congestive heart failure. Well, it took a home health nurse that Humana, my Medicare Advantage plan, sent to my house to evaluate my records and stuff. She was a casework supervisor. She began to look at my record and all that. She said, no, this is not right. She said, you're not in congestive heart failure. Yes, you were in heart failure because your lungs filled up with fluid and fluid built up on your body. She said, but this was caused by a virus. You had a virus that's weakened your heart. So your ejection fraction ratio is way low. You're at 30% where everybody else, normal person's at 70. So she called the doctors and fought with them and got most of that congestive heart failure label taken off. But now, right now, they've got me on about 4 medications. I've chose to take them until they tell me my heart is pumping right again. And then after that, I'm coming off of them. And they know it. They've pushed statin drugs. They've pushed injection like intravenous, like from a IV. It was going to cost, they said my insurance would pay 80%. It's going to cost me $700 every time they injected it. I told them, no, you're not using me for a guinea pig. So I've refused the statins and that. The cardiologist said I needed them for my heart to get better. But I'm here to tell you this. I'm a man of faith. I have been anointed by the Holy Spirit, by Jesus, to pray with people, to be healed. I have worked at the altars in churches and in our church, and even at one in a revival that they were having. I've prayed with people. I've seen people healed at the altars that I have prayed with. Was it me that healed them? No, I didn't heal them. I don't have the ability. But I do have the faith in what Jesus told me to do. And if they have the faith to believe, then Jesus will heal them. My job is to present them a chance to have the faith to believe, to pray with them. I've also been given the ability to see and hear into the spirit realm sometimes, and to see demon spirits when they're around people. And whether you know it or not, people sometimes have demon spirits following them around, tormenting them with sickness and disease. And if you get into the Bible and you really read it, you'll find out that Jesus said when he healed people, he commanded the demon to come out. So there's something real to it. And if I'm a man of faith, and I'm going to pray for people for the demon to come out, and to tell you something about demons. There was this middle-aged woman come into our church. A couple of the guys that go to our church had been out working on a ranch down there, and they were getting ready to come because we were in revival. And so they left to come to the revival. There was this lady working, or woman, walking the street down in a rural area. She was walking on the street. There wasn't, and so they stopped and asked her if she needed a ride to town. Well, she said yes. Well, unbeknown to them, she was a lady that practiced prostitution. Now, she thought she was fixing to make money off of two men. But they surprised her. They said, we're going to church, we're having a revival. Said, do you want to go to church? And she told them, said, well, God provided me a ride, so yeah, I'll go. So they ended up at the church with her. She didn't make any money off of them. The Holy Spirit sent me to pray with her, and I was praying with her. And all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit said, tell that demon of lust, that demon of that demon of drug addiction, that demon of prostitution, you tell him to leave right now. Cast him out, tell him to leave. And when I was praying for her, she had me by my arm here, right here. And all of a sudden I said, you demon of prostitution, you demon of drug addiction, you come out of this lady right now in the name of Jesus. And when I did, she started screaming and hollering and crying and started falling to the ground. And she kept holding my arm all the way down my leg. And as she was falling to the floor, I heard this demonic voice come out of her. And all it was saying is, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And from that point on is when my faith, my health become attacked over and over and over, until I began to realize that demon spirit was tormenting me, until I took a stand against him. So it's real. But I'm telling you this. Even though 2 or 3 weeks ago I was told I was in heart failure, I'm here talking to you on this video. I'm well. I'm not totally drug-free right now because to appease my wife, I chose to go ahead and take the 4 or 5 medications or 6, whatever it is they've given me. I told him I'm not going to take this full time. I will give it a couple of months or so, and then we're going to get off of it because you're going to find out that my heart's healed. But I'm telling you this, it's not easy. I'll be 70 years old in September. How many 70-year-old people or 69-year-old people do you know were drug-free up until this happened, and I'm going to be drug-free again? I know people that's in their 40s and 50s. I was in my 40s and 50s. They had me on 14 or 15 medications at one time. What kind of life do you think you're going to have on all that medication? You don't. I'm telling you, you don't. I couldn't even heal up from a knee replacement surgery, which is pretty commonplace now. I couldn't heal up from it until I got off the medicines. And you're going to have to fight. I've learned you're going to have to fight. There's doctors that's so arrogant out there that they're going to do it or bust. You're going to have to fight for your right. And here's something else I'm going to share with you, something I just learned since all of this happened. I went back to my personal provider physician as a follow-up to this heart failure. He asked me about statins. Now, this is the doctor that got mad at me and quit seeing me. He wouldn't see me for over a year, and I had to see one of the other doctors. He got mad because I refused to fill a bottle of statin drugs that he prescribed way back then when I was on all the medication. Wouldn't see me. I had to see the other doctor. So then after I saw the other doctor, I chose not to go to the doctor for 2.5 years. That 2.5 years, I followed Dr. Livingood. Back then, he didn't have all of the supplements he's got now. Don't think you have to take the supplements. It's his. You don't have to. Now, I love Dr. Livingood. I support him. I follow him. But he will tell you himself, you don't have to have all of the supplements to do the challenge. But he has provided supplements that are combined in the right measurements, the right everything, so that you don't have to take, like when I started, the first cruise I went on, I probably had 15 or 20 bottles of supplements. No, I didn't have that many, 10 or 12 of supplements, because I had to take each one separate. Well, now you can get his, and they're combined in the right strength. So you take one supplement. It's actually, even though it seems like his is half, you go to adding up how much you pay for 2 or 3 bottles of the other, it's cheaper to buy his. But you don't have to have them. Because when we first started, we didn't have the challenge. When I done that online seminar, and I've still got the stuff, I've screenshot and made copies and laminated. I've got 2 of these giant D-ring binders full of stuff that I have research I've done, stuff I've learned from Dr. Livingood. I've got a chart in there that tells you what supplement to use to treat what things to come from Dr. Livingood before he ever had his supplements. I've heard things like, well, is he a real doctor? Well, he's more of a real doctor than a lot of the people you trust and pay your good money to. And yes, he's as real as he can be. And does it work? I'm proof it works if you work it. Now, it's easy to holler, oh, I I can't afford all of this. I can't do this. Or I don't like the way this tastes. Or I don't like the way that tastes. You know what? I didn't either when I first started. But as you do it, as you detox, the first thing you notice, you'll begin to notice when you get off the sugars and use the natural sweeteners such as the raw honeys and the pure maple syrup and then the newer ones like the erythritol or swerve sweetener, or one of my favorites now is monk fruit, or stevia. When we first started, stevia was about all we had. Even there's another one, I can't think of the name of it right now. Agave, raw amber agave, blue agave. Now, he doesn't, it's approved, but it's a little high in the glycemic index, so he hasn't pushed it quite as much. But it's natural. Once you start using these things, allulose is another one. It's proved. It's derived from a fermented food. Once you get to using those and you get off of the sugar, you'll begin to notice something. Once you detox from the sugar, then foods like green beans and even spinach, asparagus, they have a natural sweetness you've never noticed before because you were so addicted to table sugar, granulated sugar. Another thing you'll notice is foods taste better. When you get on the grass-fed, grass-finished beefs, oh man, they're fantastic once you get used to them. All alternative flours like the almond flour, the coconut flour, the tapioca flour or starch, arrowroot, even ancient grain, which is a wheat, spelt. It's an ancient wheat. Yes, it has a little gluten in it, but it's different from our GMO wheat that we eat. The gluten is different. When you get on grass-fed, grass-finished dairy such as milk, buttermilk, butter, kefirs, yogurts, all made from raw milk without granulated sugar. Now you can get it unsweetened, tastes a little bit different, it's hard to get used to. Raw buttermilk, way different from what you buy in the store, but way more healthy for you. And I've got a story on the raw buttermilk. I may share it here, I may not. Grass-fed butter. When you get off of all of the rancid oils and you start using avocado oil, I use a lot of avocado oil. Also olive oil, but you got to be real careful because most of the olive oils we've got in the stores in America are fake. They have vegetable oils and rancid oils mixed with them. But if you can get extra virgin olive oil that's certified non-GMO, organic, then you probably are right. There's other oil. I think Dr. Living Good is okayed grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is got a balanced mixture of omega-6, 3, 6, and 9s in it. It's a balanced mix of it. It takes high heat. It is a seed oil. Sometimes most of the seed oil we're supposed to stay away from. It's because of the way they're processed, because they make them rancid. But the one that I'm buying is expeller pressed, which means it's cold processed. So it's not rancid. Coconut oil. When you get to using all that, now the thing about coconut oil, you can let it sit out. I let mine sit out on the counter, the table, for a year or more. It's okay. I've even used it till it was months out of its best by date or use by date. It's okay. But if you open it and it smells different, it can smell like coconut if it's supposed to. But if it smells different or if it has a kind of yucky taste, then throw it away. If it turns solid, that's okay. It turns solid about 70-something degrees. Here in Texas, we don't see it solid very often where I live because it's usually in the 70s. But when you get to doing that, when you make up your mind, what's my health worth to me? I'm going to be healthy. I'm not going to be sick. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do right. When you get off number one enemy that we deal with, high fructose corn syrup. You look at your syrup, pancake syrups, any of your syrups almost, ketchups, just about anything you buy, candies and stuff that your kids eat, high fructose corn syrup, liver overload. It has so much energy the body can't even process it, so it stores it in fat. And then we wonder why we have an epidemic of overweight children and stuff in our schools. If you don't think we do, you go down, sit across from a elementary playground and watch the elementary kids when they come out playing. I was absolutely blown away when I done that. Children, active children that play and run. Big as I was when I was in my 20s. Huge. Dealing with diabetes and all kinds of sicknesses because of mainly high fructose corn syrup that's in everything they get. But when you make up your mind that you're going to be healthy and you set out to do it, don't worry about all of it. Don't worry about, well, I can't buy this or I can't buy that. Dr. Livingood used to tell us when we first started this, just make 1% change a day or a week. If you make 1% a day change, then at the end of the challenge, you're at 28 to 30% better off than you were. If you can only make 1% a week, you're still 4 or 5% better off than you were, and it accumulates. If you keep doing it over and over, it accumulates, and then you get to where you can do it easier and easier. You don't have to have that bag of chips. You realize I'm one that used to put away the big bottles of Dr. Pepper. What are they? Probably the 24 ounce, whatever, 32 ounce, whatever they were. 6 or 7 of them a day. I hadn't even had a soft drink. I've not had a swallow of a soft drink since 2018. Don't even want it anymore. I was a big milk drinker, but I'm off of dairy. Coconut milk, sometimes. Usually almond milk. It's what I use. It's what I cook with. White flour, just almost gone. If I want a biscuit like I used to have, it looks a little different, but it tastes about the same, I'll use some spelt and almond milk. Or if I just get to where I have to have milk, then I will go get, because Texas is a raw milk for retail state. You have to go to dairy. Or dairy sometimes can have little stores out on the highway, but you can go to that and buy it from them. Raw milk, just like it comes from the cow. Filtered, refrigerated, still has, unless they have skimmed it, because they make stuff with creams too, but if you buy just a gallon of full raw milk, when you go get it out of the refrigerator, it'll have about that much of milk fat floating on the top of it. Take that gallon jug and shake it good. Pour it in your glass and drink that raw milk with that milk fat in it. Oh, you talk about good. You don't even know what milk's supposed to taste like till you taste that. But even that, as much as I love milk, and I was a country boy, I was raised in the country. My daddy had cattle. When he passed away, we got rid of 250 head of cattle. I was taught to milk cow by hand the old way. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, I would go down to the barn with my grandpa and milk cow. I've drank raw milk all my life, up until it got to where I couldn't get it after we sold the cattle. So I don't even drink milk now, very seldom, but I sure do like it. So I'm telling you this, in weight loss, where did that come from? When Dr. Livingood started the challenge, it was to teach us how to eat right, to eat the right foods, the right way, to be healthy. It all happened because his daddy was sick, and he done all kinds of research and study and prolonged his daddy's life and got him off of the medications. That's what it was about. Where did the diet mess come from? I will tell you this. If you will concentrate on getting healthy and eating healthy and making yourself healthy, forget about the weight loss will come. By the end of challenge 2, I had already lost about 120 pounds. Now, it wasn't all in challenge 2. Part of it was in challenge 1. Some of it was over in when I was doing the online seminar with him. But it all added up to challenge 2. I had some big advancements, and people were impressed because I was able to come off of the drugs. I was able to do the things that I set out to do. It doesn't mean you won't get sick again. I'm living proof of it. But here's what my thought is. What if I had been on all of those medicines? What if all of the sad things they had me labeled with, like IBS, IBS-D, like gastroesophageal reflux disease, like even at one time back in heart failure, so many of that, psoriasis, arthritis, sleep apnea. I'm having to think because I've been free of all of that. What if I'd have been on all that medicine and had all that wrong with me, and then this virus hit me? I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have made it to the hospital that day we went to the hospital. So, if I hadn't have built real health, I'd have been pushing up daisies right now, if you really want to know the truth. But I built real health. And now, once this is over with, I will detox and I will go on away, because I've got another cruise coming up in December. And I'm going to walk it and I'm going to enjoy it. I've got a vacation coming up in June. I'm going to enjoy it. Even if I'm on 3 or 4 medications, I'm going to enjoy it because I'm free of all of that other, and because I was healthy enough, I was able to overcome. Now, the cardiologist told me there was many viruses and things out there that can affect your heart. Why they want to holler congestive heart failure when you go in heart failure before they found out, I don't know. The Humana nurse said it was because they're lazy. They don't want to do the research. It's just easy to put that down. So be diligent. Fight the labels they put on you. Make sure that's what you have, or get a second opinion. Whatever you got to do. Work to be healthy, and I guarantee you, you will lose weight. That wasn't what I started for. Yes, I needed to lose 120 pounds. I probably need to lose another 80. I'm at 240 right now. Probably wouldn't hurt me to lose another 80, 60. But once you center on becoming healthy and building health, the weight loss comes. So that's all my words of wisdom I've got to share. That's my update. I wish every one of you the best of luck. I hope to see some of you in the winner's circle. I hope to see you achieve real health. If losing weight's all you want to do, then I hope to see that you've lost whatever weight you want to lose. Because I'm not here to discourage anybody. I'm here to encourage you to push on. Push on. And I have this saying, this is something that many years ago, I built an Amway business back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. One of the Amway Diamonds told me this when he was tailoring me for success. He said, you look at yourself in the mirror every morning, and he said, you tell yourself this: if it is to be, it's up to me. He said, nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else can. You've got to have the determination to do it. You've got to push forward. You can quit. You can be a quitter like everybody else is. Most people will quit. He said, you put 100 people in this business, you'll find 10 that will actually do it and make money. You can be like the nanny, and you can quit. Or you can say, you can convince yourself, if it is to be, it's up to me. If it's going to happen, I've got to do it. And don't let anybody get in your way. Don't let anybody discourage you. Your friends, your family, I guarantee you, your family, they will talk you down. Well, he's doing this crazy thing, you know. I've even had my Aunt Betty tell me, well, you got to eat. You can't live if you don't eat. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, I'm sorry. And my Aunt Betty was not a quitter. My Aunt Betty went to work in the banking system in the 1960s when women didn't hardly work. She worked her way up to one of the vice presidents of the bank that she was working at. She was an investment planner. She was a loan officer. She worked her way from the bottom all the way up, and she would even discourage me. So expect it from your friends and family, but don't let them defeat you. Don't, your significant other, your husband or your wife. A lot of times they will talk you down. My wife, even today, as long as I've been doing this, she was go to the grocery store and bring something back that she knows that I probably can't eat. Because she says, I don't have time to read the labels. I'm not going to stand there and read them. I'm in a hurry. So I have to do most of my own shopping so that I get what I need. You may have to do that yourself. But just remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. It's up to you. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to wimp out? As the famous comedian says, Larry the Cable Guy, I'm sure you've heard him, let's get her done.